so good to see you. It's Verity here and welcome to my channel. Today's another video as part of my Bumbleberry Papercraft design teamwork, where you can pick up a selection of the supplies used in today's video over at bumbleberries.co.uk. This card is a love themed card. Obviously it's Valentine's Day today, so it's a bit late to make this card for a Valentine's card, but there are so many other romantic occasions throughout the year that you can send it, and who doesn't love I love you so much kind of card. So this uses the alt new stamp set Love You So Much, and this contains a selection of different mushrooms and love sentiments within it. Now I chose this stamp set because my boyfriend absolutely loves mushrooms, and I just thought it'd be a little bit of a funny twist on a Valentine's card for him. And I'm also using a lawn fawn outside in stitch heart as well. So I'm just trimming some white card down to create the front card panel, and I'm just trimming this so that I have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, so when I foam mount it onto there it's got a nice border. And then I'm just positioning the stitch heart off to one side and die cutting that to create a window. Before I go on any further with the rest of the card, I am just using the mushrooms from the stamp set, adding several of the different mushrooms tops to different sizes of acrylic blocks, and using a selection of inks to ink the stamps up. Now I'm using some different reds from Catherine Paula inks, as these stamp really well with block stamps, and then I'm also using some alt new mini ink pads, so from the red Cosmos ink selection. So I'm using the ruby red and the grapevine mini ink pads to create the mushroom tops as well. For the stems I'm using a variety of different browns, some from Catherine Paula inks, but also from Alt New's Evening Grey and Lava Rock ink, and I'm just creating a bit of an ombre look to the mushroom sort of stems. These are quite simple stamp shapes that I just fussy cut them out. However, Bumbleberries does sell the coordinating Love You Mush die set. Now to create the background behind the mushrooms and beneath the heart window, I'm using some Distress Oxides to ink blend an area, so it's creating a bit like a sky scene behind the mushrooms. I'm using Distress Oxide Tumble Glass as my lightest colour, then Distress Oxide Salty Ocean and Distress Oxide Chipped Sapphire as my darker colour, and I'm using the ink blending tools from Ranger and their foam pads to blend this on. So I'm just positioning the heart window outline panel over the top of my other panel just to get a rough idea of where I want to apply my ink. And I'm just starting at the bottom with the lightest colour. Now I am starting directly on the card panel, but I know a large percentage is going to be covered. So as long as I start in the area that's going to be covered, it doesn't matter if it's too splodgy or there's too much sort of circle marks from the ink from the foam pad. I keep positioning the heart die cut window panel over the top just to see that I am actually blending in the right area. Do I want to add a little bit more lighter blue, or do I need to start adding one of the other colours in? I've just sped it up a little bit because obviously if it showed you in real time we'd be here for quite a few minutes. And then I'm just going in with the Salty Ocean colour, and this is a bit more of a darker colour, and I love this Salty Ocean blue. It's a gorgeous colour. Next I'm applying the Chipped Sapphire ink, so this is the darker ink out of the two, and it's a really lovely sort of navy blue. I love this blue, and it's just bringing in a bit of dark contrast at the top, giving a bit more of a dimension so it's not a complete flat panel. And then it's really important to start going back between the three colours and really blending them through. I'm using a soft circular motion to get the best blend, using a light hand, and as I say, going back between all three colours, switching my blending tools to ensure that I get a really good, lovely blend. Once I'm happy with the background, I then trim the blended background down a bit because I'm going to be positioning the die cut panel over the top. I don't want any of the actual panel peeping out from the outside, and this just trimming a little bit off the edge also tidies up the area where the ink has blended and built up on one edge. To add a bit more interest and depth to the panel, I'm just using my Gansai Tambi Starry watercolour paint set, and I'm using the white gold. I'm spritzing a bit of water into the actual paint palette, then bringing in a brush just to mix the water in and then pick up some of that paint, and then just tapping the paintbrush on my finger to add a few splatters and allowing this to dry. To add a little bit more interest and depth to the mushrooms, I am just using a white gel pen and adding some speckles to the top of the mushrooms. So I add more concentrated speckles at the top, and then I start to spread them out and thin them out as they're going down. And this little interest just adds a little bit more depth to it, a little bit more as though there's some light on the mushrooms as well. For the heart die cut window panel, I am just foam mounting this onto my other panel with some scrap strips of fun foam just to use that up, and just giving that a little bit of dimension so I can slot some of my mushrooms within the actual window and on top, just to make it as though they're actually spilling out of the heart. For the sentiment strip, I am using a couple of the stamps from the stamp set. I'm using the Love You So and then the Scripty Mush, and I'm just lining this up all along one line using my stamping platform just so I can get a good impression. If I've missed a slight spot, then I can go back and restamp it. And again, I'm using the Grapevine mini ink cube from Alt New to stamp this, and it really ties in well with the other colours that I've used within the card. And I just trim this down with a little bit of a flag tail on the end, so I'm just cutting up the middle ever slightly and then cutting from each corner into the middle to create a flag end. Now I'm using some scrapbook adhesive 3D foam square pads to foam mount the sentiment onto the panel, using my T-ruler just to keep it straight and aligned, and then I faffed about a lot with the position of these mushrooms. I kept on moving them about, changing the size of the foam, the dimension, whether I had the stem on or not, and it took me a while to get those in the position that I was actually quite happy with. I edited a lot of that out of this video, but it just shows that you do sometimes need to play about and change the position and the dimension that you've got with them as well. That just adds a little bit more interest. Then I'm just using some liquid adhesive to adhere some of those down directly onto the panel. Now, to add a little bit more interest, I wanted to add some Nouveau drops, and I have all my Nouveau drops squirted out on some acetate so I can overlay it on my card and see which colour looks best. In the end, I went for the Autumn Red Tonic Nouveau drops, and sometimes you're a bit hesitant as to where should I put these dots, and I find a really good way is to use a pencil just to roughly mark out some positions. You can then look at them and think, oh, does that look right? Doesn't it look right? And you can easily rub out the pencil if it doesn't. However, once you put your Nouveau drops down, you can't move them or get rid of them. And then when you're ready and happy, you can just squirt your Nouveau drops over those little marks pencil marks you did. So nobody's going to be none the wiser that you planned those out a little bit. I find that if your Nouveau drops aren't squirting out nice and freely, just warm the little tube up a little bit between your hands for a while, just so it gets warmer, and the consistency will be much better when it comes out. So I absolutely love this card. I think, all being well, my boyfriend loves it too. He loves mushrooms, so I'm hoping he loves it as much as I've loved it, though I love him more than mushrooms. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I had so much fun creating this card. Please see the description box below where you'll find a list of supplies I use from bumbleberries.co.uk. Make sure you head over there to check out the rest of the blog as the design team creates some fabulous cards. If you missed last week's video, check out this card where I used the Wild Meadow stamp set from Mama Elephant to create a lovely spring green thank you card. If you're not a subscriber already, I'd love it if you could subscribe to my channel, and why not hit that bell icon so you can be notified when my next video is up. Until next time, happy crafting!